The number 28 Squadron of the Indian Air Force, which inducted the first of the Soviet-era MiG-21s in 1963, has now completed 60 years of service this week. The MiG-21s were inducted in Chandigarh, marking a turning point in IAF's inventory, as they were the first supersonic fighters. The MiG-21, whose NATO reporting name is Fishbed, was designed as a supersonic jet interceptor aircraft by the Mikhail Gurevich Design Bureau, that is the OKB, of the erstwhile Soviet Union. The aircraft, which made its maiden flight on 16 June 1955, holds a record of being the most produced supersonic jet in aviation history. Incidentally, this is the aircraft that led to India's love for the delta-winged aircraft. The Mirages and even the indigenous Tejas are also delta-winged aircraft. The MiG-21 was the first successful Soviet aircraft combining fighter and interceptor characteristics in a single aircraft. It was a lightweight fighter achieving Mach 2 with relatively low-powered afterburning turbojet. The MiG-21s has had a long production run from 1959 to 1985 and underwent updates and modifications, and thereafter in many countries, including in India. The first single-engine MiG-21 aircraft came into the Indian Air Force in 1963, and has since then a total of 874 have been inducted, including multiple variants. The Soviet-origin supersonic fighters had become the mainstay of the Air Force over the years because of the sheer numbers, even as they inducted more modern aircraft like the Mirages and others. The aircraft first underwent an upgrade in the 1970s, and the variant was known as the Mig-21 BIS. While the lightweight combat aircraft Tejas nowhere in the horizon, the IAF decided to upgrade 125 of the Mig-21 BIS to the Mig-21 Bison in 2000, despite a spate of crashes in the 1990s that claimed lives of many pilots. The Mig-21 Bisons are expected to be out of service completely by 2025. India got the MiG-21s as a counter to Pakistan being given 12 F-104 Starfighter supersonic aircraft by the United States. The Starfighter was the first supersonic aircraft on the subcontinent. On 16th October 1987, after over 2 decades since induction, the 28th Squadron transitioned from the MiG-21s to the MiG-29s. Given the experience in inducting the MiG-21s, they were responsible for inducting the MiG-29s as well. In both the 1965 and 1971 wars, the number 28th Squadron and the MiG-21s played an important role in India's success. During the 1965 Monsoon War, the squadron was central in conducting combat air patrol duties. The new MiG-21s were deployed to counter particularly the supersonic F-104 starfighters and the much regarded F-86. It gave the Pakistani fighters a chase and scare. Number 28 Squadron's feedback from deploying the early MiG-21s in the 1965 war ensured that the Soviet Union added guns to subsequent variants, since the original MiG-21s did not really have one. This development had major ramifications during the 1971 war. Squadron number 28 carried out successful steep dive bombing attacks on 2 Pakistani airfields of Tezgaon and Kurmiktola during the 1971 war. They also played a major role in the attack on the governor's house in Dhaka. This led to the governor's resignation, hastened Pakistan's surrender. 1971 was number 28 Squadron's greatest hour in its history with the IAF, and it was able to do so because of the MiG-21s. Aviation historian Anchit Gupta points out on Twitter that the MiG-21 F13 Type 74 Fishbed C was the first in the IAF. 6 of these were acquired in March 1963 and served till 1968. F, of course, means the operated, and 13 denotes the K-15 air-to-air missiles it carried. They carried the serial numbers BC-816 to BC-821. Powered by the R-11 engine, the pilot tube was below the engine intake, unlike subsequent types where it was on the top. The armament was the K-13 missile and 130 mm cannon. Designed for intercepts, its short endurance, lack of radar, and poor single-shot kill probability was a problem. In March 65, IAF got the PF variant. 6 of these were acquired with serial numbers from BC 822 to BC 827. It had a R11 F2300 engine for better endurance and the R1L search radar. These changes came with the flow. It had to give up its cannons. Few T-76 were upgraded with the R2L radar and the R11 F2S 300 engine. This was to bring them in line with the T-77 that was to become the main variant in service. Aircraft kept the original serials, but the prefix BC was changed to C. 28 and 29 squadrons were the only ones to operate the T-74 and the T-76. Lack of an integral cannon was in sync with the gun versus missile debate of the times. In 1966, IAF took the first big step when it contracted for the Mig-21 FL Type 76 variant. 38 aircraft were manufactured in the USSR, another 197 were manufactured by the HAL between 1966 and 73. Type 77 improved on the Type 76 with a new R2L radar, IFF antenna, radar warning and larger fuel capacity. An attachable gun pack GP9 consisting of a twin-barrel 23mm gun on the center point. Type 77 was also heralded the era of using the MiG-21s for air-to-ground role. 500 kg bombs were delivered at Tilpert range in 1967. For bombing role in 1971 war, they earned the nickname the Runway Busters. Anchit says that the Type 77 initially had 2 hardpoints under the wing for air-to-air missiles and 1 center line for the drop tank or the GP9 gun pod. Sometime in the 80s, it was modified to have 4 wing hardpoints for air-to-air missiles or bombs. This greatly enhanced the usability. Type 77 would serve the IAF for 47 years across 11 combat squadrons, the longest of any variants ruling the eastern skies, and was extensively used in type training post the 1986. It was also the first instance of mass production by HAL. In 1975, IAF acquired the Mig-21 BIS, the Type 75 fishbed N variant. Key improvement was the R25 engine, better avionics, gun sight and flying instrumentation. 70 were acquired in flyaway conditions and 220 were produced by HAL between 78 and 1985. The last Mig-21 manufactured by HAL. In 2001, the IAF upgraded the BIS to the Bison, which included new BVR missiles, a CAP 500 TV bombs, cleaner and larger view cockpit and helmet mounted sighting systems. With nearly 850 aircraft operated by the IAF across 4.5 generations and multitude of variants, you're not alone in being confused with the variants. Even I was. Anchit has made a lovely image to guide us visually to identify the type when you see an Indian fish bed. Do see it. For The Print, this is Snehesh Alex Philip. Do subscribe to our Print's YouTube channel for more such videos.